All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Achakwadash, and double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone and citations to the elect. This is Brother Lawyer from Great Millstone, Miami, and the topic of this lesson will be about miracles of healing. Okay, all right. This goes out to all the true believers in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai out there, who are struggling with various infirmities in the flesh or even in the mind. Okay. All right. As the scriptures say, the Lord would plague us, as a result of the curses because of our disobedience with various diseases and sicknesses. Okay. And so we live in a fallen world, and these, in these mortal vessels that are subject to illnesses, of various intensities and kinds and durations. Okay. Hey, sometimes it can definitely weigh on your spirit, on your flesh, dealing with those kinds of conditions. Okay. All right. But you just got to trust and believe that Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, if you have faith in him, that he will make you whole. All right. If not in this lifetime, in the age to come, when the Lord delivers us, we will have new bodies and we'll be made perfectly whole. Okay. All right. But this lesson really mainly going to focus on miracles of healings in this time. Okay. All right. Through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, healing is possible. Okay. Whatever infirmity or sickness that you may have in the flesh, the Lord can deliver you from that through prayer. Okay. Through faith and prayer. All right. You got brothers in camps that got various different infirmities. It's very important that you, go before the brothers, and the leaders of your church and, pray for healing. Okay. Pray to be anointed, and pray for healing through the Spirit, and if you have faith, it's very likely that the Lord will deliver you from that. Okay. And it may take time. It may take multiple times of prayer. Okay. For that to happen. All right. But just believe that it's possible. All right. So I just want to go into that in this lesson, man. Just a lesson of exhortation to the flock, to continue to believe. All right. And pray for healing and expect it. OK, especially in these times, we're coming into a time where our access to the various provisions that we're used to in this society, whether it be food or water, even medications, that we may be used to having access to, or resources, believers who have certain conditions, you may not have access to them. OK, when all of this shit, starts hitting the fan that we talk about. OK, you may not be able to go run to the hospital or run to Esau. All right. That's why faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is important, man. It's of the utmost importance. So, yeah. With that being said, I'm going to start here with James chapter 5. And Lord willing, this video is edifying. This is James 5:13. It says, "Is any among you afflicted? Let him pray. Is any merry? Let him sing psalms. Is any sick among you? Let him call for the elders of the church and let them pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer of faith shall save the sick, and the Lord shall raise him up. And if he have committed sins, they shall be forgiven him." Okay. "Confess your faults one to another and pray one for another, that ye may be healed. The effectual fervent prayer of the righteous man availeth much." Okay. So you got believers in the church dealing with various kinds of infirmities. Of course, we have, methods outside of, the structure of this world. Of course, you want to take care of your diet and eat, go through the natural way of healing, the herbs and different remedies, rather than dealing with Esau, if you can help it, but also, okay, you want to pray, you want to call for the elders of the churches, you want to ask brothers to anoint you and pray for you, anoint yourself, pray for yourself, and come before the Lord, okay, and ask for healing. All right, confess your sins before Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and if you do it in faith, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai may very well likely heal you, and we read about that in the scriptures. Okay. All right, and it may take multiple times of prayer. At the end of the day, it comes down to faith. The Lord may be trying your faith. You may say, "Oh, I've been praying all this time and it hasn't happened." Well, the Lord may be trying your faith. Okay. All right. Don't lose hope. Don't lose, you don't lose faith in Yahweh Shem Shai. Constantly trust in the Lord. Scriptures say, "Cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end." Okay. And so I want to go here too, to Psalm 103:1. It says, a Psalm of David: "Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me, bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits." And what's one of the benefits of the Lord? "Who forgiveth all thine iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases." All right. So Yahweh Shem Shai has the power to heal diseases, all manner of sickness. It's possible. All right. Infirmities. I mean, the Lord healed, people that were blind, born blind. Okay. All right. People who were maimed, people who had, spirits plaguing their mind, people who were deaf, people who had leprosy. There's so many examples in the scriptures. We could really spend all day, doing so. All right. So that's another point, that I want to make too, man. Brothers and sisters out there who have, these different conditions, and you may be, doubting in your mind, like, dang, can the Lord heal me, or will the Lord heal me? Go to the scriptures, that talk about the Lord's, the Lord's miracles, man, and all the healings he performed. I remember this had to be back in I had to be 17 years old. I had to go to the hospital because I was dealing with an infirmity that I no longer deal with, sickle cell. And, brothers who know my testimony, but this had to be back in 2017, many years ago. I remember I was in the hospital dealing with that condition, and my father, he admitted me to, he brought me to the hospital and everything. And I was in the hospital bed waiting to be admitted into the hospital and all of that, the whole process and everything. And, while I was there, dealing with the pain of that condition, I asked my father, I asked my dad, I was like, "Dad, can you tell me about all the miracles that the Lord performed?" This was before I was in the truth too. And I was saying, the name Jesus or whatever. And he would recount to me all the different miracles of healing that, who, I called Jesus at the time, would perform, and then many years after that, almost 10 years later, brothers who know my testimony, the Lord actually healed me from that condition, sickle cell, through prayer. Okay. Through brothers laying hands and praying for me. Okay. And so, since probably about 2020-ish, 2020, April, around that time, till now, I haven't dealt with any symptoms of that condition at all, so it just goes to show you the power of faith, or the power of prayer, to sum it all up, man. All right. Trust in Yahweh Shem Shai. If you're dealing with these infirmities, you're dealing with whatever, sickness or disease, trust in Yahweh Shem Shai that healing is possible, that the Lord is going to do what he said he's going to do. Okay. All right. Follow the scriptures. Okay. Now this is Matthew chapter 4, verse 23. All right. Which is a scripture I really like going into because it just goes to show you how powerful and mighty Yahweh Shai was. Right. So it says, "And Yahweh Shai went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom and healing all manner of sickness and all manner of disease among the people." Okay. All right. All manner. So whatever condition you can think of, you got a lot of, these conditions and diseases that are, considered uncurable. People are born with them and they die with them. You don't, what I'm saying? They don't just spontaneously, just go away. Right. Well, Yahweh Shai had the power to, through spiritual power, make these diseases that, were, all manner of diseases. They don't really specifically say, but to cure them. Okay. to take away people's sicknesses. All right. Verse 24, it says, and his fame went throughout all Syria, and they brought unto him all sick people that were taken with diverse diseases and torments. Okay. Diverse diseases and torments. So you can just fill in the blank, you know, Jake with cancer, Jake with diabetes, Jake with sickle cell, Jake with this condition, that condition. Our people got all kind of fucking problems, man, you know. And it was such a monumental thing that people would travel, you know, miles. I mean, country worth distances, you know, would travel in, you know, internationally to come see Yahushua, because it says his fame went from Galilee to Syria. So those are two completely different regions, you know, and countries. So people would travel from different countries to come to Yahushua because they heard his fame, you know, how he was healing people from all these different diseases and torments. OK. And there were those who were possessed with devils. So you had people that had spirits on them, you know, and they out of their mind. There's one account in the scriptures where Yahushua healed a man that had legion. The man had 1,000 demons on him. OK. And the Lord casted those demons out, those devils out, man. OK. And it says those that were lunatic and those that had the palsy, and he healed them. OK. And there followed him a great multitude of people from Galilee and from Decapolis and from Jerusalem and from Judea and from beyond Jordan. So people was traveling from all different regions just to come follow Yahushua and be healed of all manner of conditions that they had, man. So it's possible. You just got to trust in Yahushua. You got to pray to him, you know, ask for brothers to pray for you, anoint you, you know, and just believe. Of course, and you want to, you know, make sure you're doing your part as far as, you know, if it's a condition that you can try to manage, you know, with, you know, the herbs and things like that. You know, you try your best to do that as well, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, it's really the Lord that's going to heal you, you know, which that reminds me, because that reminds me, man. Let me see. I gotta get that. I gotta get the right account, man. The account. Well, I'll just use this account. This is Luke chapter 8, verse 40. Well, now I'll start at verse 43. All right. It says, and a woman having an issue of blood 12 years, which had spent all her living upon physicians, neither could be healed of any. OK, so, you know, back then you had physicians like doctors and stuff like that, different physicians. You know, the apothecary, they would, you know, use their skill and knowledge of medicine, which at the time was based off of the herbs and, you know, things from the earth to heal people. All right. And in this particular case, it didn't work for this woman. She had an issue of blood 12 years. And I believe it's a certain account says that she actually got worse rather than better. She spent all her living to try to, you know, get the different medications and herbs or, you know, different remedies to heal this condition. And it didn't get better. Right. And it says, came behind him and touched the border of his garment, and immediately her issue of blood stanched. And Yahushua said, who touched me? When all denied, Peter and they that were with him said, Master, the multitude thronged thee and pressed thee, and sayest thou, who touched me? And Yahushua said, somebody hath touched me, for I have perceived that virtue is gone out of me. And when the woman saw that she was not hid, she came trembling and fell down before him. And falling down before him, she declared unto him all before all the people for what cause she had touched him, and how she was immediately healed. And he said unto her, Daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace. Okay. So a lot of times it does come down to faith. Of course, you want to do your part, but at the end of the day, a lot of times it will come down to faith. All right. You can use certain scenarios where the Lord just wants to show that power. You might be doing all the things that you may think is necessary, but the Lord just want to show that power by you, showing that faith. So trust in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and he he will do it. Okay. All right. So let's see. Well, I'm going to go to John chapter 14 and 12, right? It says, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I shall do, the works that I do, shall he do also, and greater works than these shall he do, because I go into my Father. And whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. Okay, so if you trust in Yahweh Shema Shai, the Lord said, the works that I do shall ye do also, and greater works than these. Okay, so there's going to be certain believers and brothers out there that have the power to do what Yahweh Shai did. All right, one of the many works and miracles that Yahweh Shai did was heal the sick and raise the dead and cast out devils and cure people. Okay, amongst the many other works that he did. All right. And we have examples of those that believe in Yahweh Shai in the scriptures that were able to perform miracles of healing too. All right. So that which is then is now. All right. And, brothers, know my testimony. I can say through truth and the power of Yahweh Shai that I'm a living testament of that, of the power of the Lord. Brothers and sisters know, who know me and who know the videos I've done on the topic. It's out there. All right. I was dealing with sickle cell since, really since my birth. I was just diagnosed with it at a very young age, and it was a condition I was dealing with my entire life up until 2020. All right. When, the C-19 hit, and I had one really, really bad episode. It was probably one of the worst episodes I've ever had in my life. And, brothers, came down. Brothers from Atlanta came down. Bishop Atazawam, the elder Ratazah, elder Taziwan, and brothers from Chicago came down. Ratazawanya and damn, I forget that brother name. What's that brother name, man? Damn, I forget the brother name. There's another brother that came down from Chicago, man. Dang, I can't remember the brother name, but he came down too. And the brothers in my camp, of course, we lay hands on me through, anointed me, lay hands on me, prayed. And, since that day, I remember it was in April 2020, since that day forward, I had been feeling better, and I had never had a sickle cell, what they call a sickle cell crisis again, from that point forward till now. Okay. And brothers have seen, my transformations physically from being sickly and ill and feeble and frail to, being healthy. Okay. So all praise to Yahweh Shema Shai for that. It's the power of the Lord, and it's possible. Okay. The Lord said, the works that I do shall you do also. So believe in the power of Yahweh Shema Shai. That's the point I'm gonna make in this, is really what I'm making in this video. Believe in the power of Yahweh Shema Shai. I've done topics on this before, but the Spirit has me doing it again. I know there's brothers out there going through, different infirmities and stuff like that. So, whenever whenever it's here and there, like, it's something I can't really shake. It's sometimes the Spirit just be like, hey, go into how the Lord can heal people and how he will heal people through faith. So that's what's going on right now. The Spirit is guiding me to do this video, and Lord willing, it's edifying. Okay. So Matthew chapter 10, verse 1, it says, and when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power. So the Lord gave the disciples power, man, against unclean spirits, to cast them out and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. It's in the Bible, yo. It's in the Bible, man. All right. So, don't think that the Lord can't do it. Like, he can do it, man. Yeah, certain cases, like you got Apostle Paul, he had a thorn in his flesh, and, the Lord said, my grace is sufficient for thee, which that could be the case in certain situations where a brother or sister might be going through a certain particular infirmity or affliction, and the Lord just wants you to deal with it, okay, for a time being. But that don't mean it's going to be permanent, or that, or that you shouldn't still pray and believe. The Lord can still reverse the situation. Okay? So just have faith, man. Keep having faith in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Keep the faith, man. Okay? Keep the faith, So I'm gonna close out with this. I could bring out all kind of precepts. Like, I could be here for another 24 hours. Like, the amount of precepts that go into stuff like this, I could be here forever and just keep going. But I just want to close out with this one real quick, just to show you like how raw having faith in the Lord is. Like, if you believe, anything is possible, man. Anything is possible, man. Okay. All right. So this is, I'm gonna close out with this, Acts chapter 5. Right. And I'm gonna start at verse 12. Right. It says, and by the hand of the apostles were many signs and wonders wrought among the people, and they were all with one accord in Solomon's porch. And of the rest, there's no man joined himself to them, but the people magnified them. And believers were the more added to the Lord, both multitudes, men and women, and so much that they brought forth the sick into the streets and laid them on their beds and couches, that at the very least, the shadow of Peter passing by might overshadow some of them, man. So they was laying sick folks in the street, hoping that Peter's shadow might pass by and pass over them. As he walking by, his shadow pass over them and they be healed. All right. Now, in Yahushai's case, people was thronging him and touching the hem of his garment. In Peter's case, Peter was just walking by, and his shadow will pass over people that was sickly, and they was being healed through faith. That's greater works right there. Okay. And it says, and there came also a multitude out of the cities round about unto Jerusalem, bringing sick folks and them that were vexed with unclean spirits, and they were healed every one. Okay. Every one. So, hey, again, it's in the Bible, yo. Like, just believe. Trust in the Lord, man. So, Lord willing, it was edifying. It was on my spirit to do. I wanted to do it last night, but some things got in the way, but it's all good. The spirit is doing what it's doing now. So all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Lord willing, this video is edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Chakodash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and citations to the elect. Shalom.